Okay, we are on Daf Mem Daled Amud Beis, getting towards the end. Shavuos. Okay, so everyone, a good Shabbos. Thank you for coming. Quick story before we start. Story from David Goldwasser of Brooklyn, New York. It says the following story. Someone came to him about a problem they're having. He just sat down and started crying. And finally asked the person what the problem was. He says that he has a family member that's very, very, very sick. So he says, what could I do? So he says there's a Kabbalah, we have a tradition from Yisrael of Yitzchak of Vorki, a Hasidic, big Hasidic Rebbe of old, who said that Achnasas Kala, that paying for the needs of for a Kala, to pay for the wedding, is a skula, prevent one from getting sick or healing one. So the person took this to heart. He found that Kala had no means to pay for their wedding at all. Took the entire wedding upon himself, start to finish, everything, make sure it's good. Responsibility, financial responsibility, the whole thing. And thank God he did get better. It's a pasuk says matan b'seiser yichtaf. It's like hold back. The way of preventing that. You'll notice in davening, in the brachos, in the morning, we say El Drim Adam Ochel Parasem Lama Zaver Chemes Lama Bikur Cholim, Achnasat Kala V'Yas Amen. That's the order. So the question that's asked, I think you didn't say this, but I've heard this before. That it says these are the things that Adam Ochel Parasem Lama. You get you eat the sort of the sort of the how do you say the benefits in this world, and the main principle, Karen, that's saved up for the next world. It says, visiting the sick, taking care of a kala, and then it says, accompanying the dead, the person. Those are all great mitzvahs, kindnesses a person does. But there's something in between sickness, bikur cholan, and death, and that is hachmasat kala. That's why that is sort of the wall that prevents the two. It's the tradition. Person needs to Yerushalayim, but that's one way to do so. That's why he gave him, and we see it worked. So you never know how far a chesed could go.
Company did.
Well, he's trying not to accompany. So yeah. Okay, so we're on Daf Mem Dalet on the base on the top. We're finishing up. There was a brisa we had on Gimel on the base. This was from Wednesday. We had a machlokas, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. We're going to discuss that, and then we're going to go to the next. That's to finish up the parak. Then we go on to the second to last parak, the seventh parak, which deals with Shavuos that are derabanan. We already had one Shavuot derabanan, Shavuos Esses, and other ones. That's the parak. We'll get to that in detail, but that's what we're going to accomplish, God willing, as in Hashem today. Okay, so we are on the very top of Mem Daled Amud. So there was machlokas in the brisa between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, and we're trying to establish what exactly is the nature of their discussion, of their disagreement. Rabbi Eliezer had said that a person lends his friend with a collateral, and then the collateral is lost, the mashkun is lost. He says, V'yishba v'yitol es ma'osav. He swears, like the malva, the lender swears, and then he's seemingly, how do we say that? It seems like he's off the hook or partially off the hook. He's absolved, and then he can collect the loan. And Rabbi Akiva says, no. You can say, I lent you with a collateral, and collateral is done. You lost it, so there goes the loan. It's finished. So what exactly is the machlokas? We came up with all sorts of ideas, part of the value, full value, talking about naveda. Their machlokas is with regard to a lost object, we said. In the end, we said yesterday, no. We said, no, they're not arguing in the status of a naveda, lost object, if it's like a shomer sacher or shomer chinam, if you're an unpaid watchman, guardian, or a paid one. So that's not the exact nature of the machlokas. So let's continue where we are. Second line, we'll just we'll start from the sort of the middle of the statement, but just to make it flow. the last word on the line, second line. The Kule Alma, it's really right in the middle of a statement, but the Kule Alma Islay the Rabbi Yosef. Everyone agrees with Rabbi Yosef that a person is watching a lost item, a Shomer Aveda is like a Shomer Sachar, a paid watchman, so that can't be the Machlokas. Okay? Now, what is the Machlokas? That's where we really now. We're trying to understand what, in fact, is this Machlokas, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. They're arguing about a borrower who's holding on to collateral and needs that collateral, that object, and he wants to use it himself, which for this, we're just going to say now, without getting into the whole discussion, that he needs it and is going to use it, can use it, without getting into that discussion. That's what they're discussing. Mar Savar, mitzvah ka'avid. Rabbi Akiva holds he's doing a mitzvah, and we'll discuss what that means. Mar Savar lar mitzvah ka'avid. And Rabbi Eliezer says he's not doing a mitzvah. So what does that mean? It means the following, that when a person is using, let's say he's using his, I don't know, his scissors or his table or whatever, he's using it, he needs it, the lender, the malva, and the schirus, the rental, so to speak, the usage that he's using, kind of would have to pay for in theory. So he's decreasing the amount of loan. Let's say the loan is 1,000 shekel, and he's using the person's scissors for 4 weeks or whatever he's using, his table, the chairs, whatever it is, the collateral. Since he's, so to speak, renting, he's using it, he's renting it, he's using it. That amount of rent detracts from the actual loan. It was 1,000, by the end of the week, it's only 950. Next week, it's 900. So that is actually doing the guy a favor. He's getting the table in pretty good shape, assuming great shape still. The scissors are still functional 100%. You just use it a little bit. You just use it a little bit. Is he doing a mitzvah in that sense? So according to Rabbi Akiva, he is doing a mitzvah. Let me read Rashi inside, and then we'll explain it further. Third Rashi on the page. Tzarech l'mashkon. Tzarech l'mashkon l'ishtamish bo. To use it, he needs it for usage. U'menaka lo min hachov t'meischirus hamashkon. He's using it, and he's detracting from the principle of the loan with the sort of the rental that he's using. That's cost of the rental detracts from the fee, from the actual loan. Rabbi Eliezer holds, Kivan the tzarech l'mashkon, since he needs the mashkon, ein kan mitzvah. It's not so, his intentions are, I wouldn't say so holy. He's doing something good, but it's not a mitzvah. Of lanoso niskavin. His intentions are for his own good. He wants to use this item. Havi kashomer chinam. Therefore, he's like a shomer chinam. We'll explain. He's like an unpaid watchman. Rabbi Akiva on the collateral. Rabbi Akiva savar. Akiva holds kivan the hoches alav v'holech. Since it's detracting as he goes along and using it, the value of the collateral, and then in turn will owe the guy less. Mitzvahi is actually doing a mitzvah. Allah havi alav ella kashomer sachar. And he's like a paid watchman. So what does that mean? Things like this. You, according to Rabbi Akiva, it's really altruistic, even though you're getting benefit. So you're doing a mitzvah for the guy. You're helping him out. So if you're doing a mitzvah, it gives you the status of osek the mitzvah, pater min a mitzvah. And so you are right. There's that. And according to Rabbi Eliezer, there's no mitzvah involved. You are just doing something yourself. You just happen to be lowering the fee in the process, but you are doing it for yourself. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, if you're doing it for yourself, you don't have any special status. According to Rabbi Akiva, you do. You're doing a mitzvah for the person. Once you're doing a mitzvah, you're osek mitzvah pater min mitzvah. You get some side benefit, or just the side, and consequently, since you're getting some side benefit, so you are like a paid watchman or shomer sachar. According to Rabbi Eliezer, you don't get any mitzvah side benefit. The advantage of having a mitzvah is that you are osek in mitzvah, you're involved in mitzvah, you become pater. You will become exempt from doing another mitzvah. That's your scar, so to speak. According to Rabbi Akiva, you get that special scar, and that you're like paid with the scar you get from that mitzvah. That you're not obligated to do another mitzvah at the same time. So therefore, you're paid. You're like a shomer sachar, according to Rabbi Akiva. Therefore, on this mashkan you're holding, you're like a paid watchman, and if you lose it, it's gone. The whole value is gone, and then you have to pay back the loan. According to Rabbi Akiva, you're not a paid watchman. You're not getting any benefit. According to Rabbi Eliezer, you're not a paid watchman. You're just using it, and you're not getting any side benefit. You're unpaid. You're like a shomer chinam. You lost it, and you watched it properly. You just swear you weren't negligent, and then the mashkon is absolved, your responsibility to mashkon, and then there's a loan that the borrower has to pay back. That's the distinction. According to Rabbi Akiva, huh? Big difference. Yes, yes, tremendous difference. According to Rabbi Eliezer, you are not. According to Rabbi Akiva, you are paid because you get the schar of mitzvah. You're doing a mitzvah. You're then off the hook from another mitzvah, so you're paid in that sense. But then you're shomer sachar, you're a paid watchman. So you lose the item, you're responsible for it. So it cancels out the loan. According to Rabbi Eliezer, no. According to Rabbi Eliezer, no, you're not a paid watchman. You don't get any mitzvah. There's no pay. You're just a shomer chidim. You're an unpaid watchman. You lost it. You did it in all good faith. You swear you weren't negligent. You are not responsible for the mashkon. So there's for the collateral. There's an existing loan that has to be paid up. You just swear and then you take the loan. That's how you learn that brisa. Okay. Yeah.
On Thursday, it's not a mitzvah.
So
it's a business deal.
It's a stretch, isn't it?
There's a big difference between doing a mitzvah and doing a business deal. I want to say, you need money. I'll give you 1,000 shekels for that cup of tea.
Right.
All right. So I use your cup of tea and I break it. So
well, not break. Let's say lost.
I use your cup of tea. I drink the tea out of it. It's all whatever. Whatever I do your cup of tea. I want my cup of tea back. You want your money back. It's a business. It's not a mitzvah.
Right. So according to Rabbi Akiva, it's hard to understand, but the Akiva holds, from Rashi is explaining the Gemara, there is a side mitzvah, and that little benefit you get that you're now absolved, it's a mitzvah because you are. Rabbi Eliezer says you're doing it for your own benefit. You can come up with an interesting svara for this. I don't know. Perhaps we could say even if you don't intend for the mitzvah, you're doing a mitzvah. I don't know. You're doing a mitzvah. There's some mitzvah going on there because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're helping out the person. It's a concept of chesed that you get paid for is also a chesed. Concept like that.
The mitzvah comes in if the borrower says to the lender says to the borrower, "Can I use it?"
Yeah.
And then it becomes a mitzvah that you can use. But otherwise, it's
the side mitzvah. It's hard to hear. I agree with you. It's hard to hear about that. That's qualifies as a mitzvah. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Okay. Lemikatanai, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down. Lemikatanai. Rashi says, Hodesh Shmuel. That what Shmuel said is actually seems to be a discussion, a machlokas among Tanoim. Because remember we said before, Shmuel is, again, Daf Mem Gimel days. We said, Shmuel said if a person who has who lends 1,000 shekel, zuz, that's a lot more than that, and he takes a handle of a sickle, kata de magla, as a collateral, Shmuel says they cancel each other. That's you agreed, or maybe the default, if that handle takes the place of the loan, and that's it. You lose one, you lose the other. So we say that whether you hold that or not it seems to be machlokas of Tanai. Layman Tanai. Here's the case, the Tanaim argument. Hamalvis chaver alamashka. A person lends money. A person lends. The guy borrows with this is highlighted here. Sorry, with a mashkon, with a collateral. Al mashkon v'nichnasa shmita. A person lends something to his friend with a collateral, and shmita comes. Now, normally, when shmita comes, if you don't sign a prusbul, you're under most circumstances, normal circumstances, the loan would be canceled. But if you have a collateral that you took, then it would not be canceled. So we're going to say a case here. What happens if you don't have a collateral for the full value of the loan? What happens then? Or maybe we'll see what the case is. That's the discussion. So again, hamal bes chaver al amash. When a person lends his friend with a collateral, and nichnas shmita, and shmita comes along. Even though the loan was, for example, 1,000 shekel, and the collateral is only 500 shekel, Shimon says it doesn't cancel the loan. That half value collateral is enough to hold the shmita at bay, so to speak, and prevent the loan from being canceled. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi Omer, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, if the lateral is equivalent of the whole, we'll have to see what this means. I'm just reading it in. If it's equivalent of the whole loan, eno mishame, then it doesn't cancel it. Im lav, if it's not equivalent to the whole loan, mishame, it does cancel it. So we're missing a couple of details here. We're going to discuss it. We don't know exactly when we said it doesn't, both for Rebbe and for Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, it doesn't. If you have a partial collateral for half, and it cancels or doesn't cancel the loan, what does it cancel? The whole loan or just the value of the item? So that's what we're going to say here. Ma'inu mishame techamer of Tanakama, or Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says the notes here, wherever it is. What does it not cancel? Inu mishame. What it does not cancel. The Shemitah doesn't cancel. Ilem or Konegdo, if you're going to say against its value, if it's a 500 shekel collateral, so it doesn't cancel 500 shekel worth of the loan. The rest, Shemitah cancels. What does that mean? That would imply that one is arguing on him. Yehuda Nasi holds that even up to the value of the actual collateral also is canceled. Hello, my toughest mashko. If that's the case, why does he even have a collateral? If the collateral doesn't do anything, doesn't cancel the loan, thank you. So why does he have a collateral? Elalav, what the case must be. So this is how we're going to define the case. Konegdo kulo. Elalav konegdo kulo. We're saying that the Tanakama holds that Elalav konegdo kulo, that the whole that he says that it cancels the whole thing. It prevents the whole thing from the whole Shemitah from canceling it. Shmuel kamiflagi, and it's going like Shmuel. Why? Because the Tanakama Shimon Gamliel holds that even if we have a partial collateral, 500 shekel against 1,000 shekel loan, well, that's enough to hold back the loan, hold back the Shemitah from canceling the loan. What does that mean? A partial collateral is equivalent to the full loan, equals the full loan. That's what Shmuel holds. If you only have a small amount of collateral, you agree that collateral equals equivalent to the full loan. So too, that's what Shimon Gamliel holds. You have a partial collateral, that's enough to hold Shemitah back for the whole loan. The Yehuda Anasi doesn't say that. So this would seem to be the machlokas within Shmuel, whether a collateral has enough, a partial collateral is equivalent to the whole loan or not. That's what Shmuel holds. You can have the handle of a sickle, and that is equivalent. We look at it as it is keneged the whole loan. So we say like this: lo, the fourth to last line before the Mishnah. Lo, laolam. No, we can't necessarily say that that's the case. Maybe the case is different, and we can't necessarily prove that they're arguing in Shmuel. Maybe not. Lo, laolam, kenegdo. Really, when we say that that the mashkon holds back Shemitah, it's only kenegdo, up to the value of the actual collateral. In other words, if Shimon Gamliel said that you have a loan of 1,000 and a collateral of 500, Shemitah, that collateral prevents Shemitah from canceling 500 alone, not the full loan. So what does that mean? Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, Savar Kenegdo Nami Mishamet. That would mean Rabbi Yehuda Anasi holds even the amount of the collateral Shemitah gets rid of. As you have 1,000 shekel loan and a 500 shekel collateral, Shemitah comes. Even that 500 equivalent to the collateral, Shemitah gets rid of, and there's no more loan. There's nothing due. So then the question is, with the Ka'amart, Lamai, Tafis, Lay, Mashkon, what's the point of the Mashkon? What's it accomplishing? Mara says, L'zichron Dvarim Ba'alma. As Rashi says, the Lo Havi Mashkon, Elo Zichron Dvarim Tafse. What he's saying is that Zichron Dvarim is kind of a way of remembrance. It's an indication that you owe me money. And it's there, this to remember you owe me money, you need to pay me back, and it's a little bit of security too, presumably, until Shemitah. That's enough throughout the Shemitah. Now, it could be he borrowed in the year one of the Shemitah, or if the lender had a lot of faith, and he's a good guy, like the Torah says, he lent him, 5 days before Shemitah. But has faith in God, then he will pay him, and he will. But, right, so that's what it's for. So we can't necessarily prove here that the machlokas is Shmuel or not. Yes. Right. Right. Right.
What we're talking here is concept.
Right.
If you've got a collateral, it's the loan is I mean paid on the teacher, partition. There's only the value of
That.
that isn't
Right.
it's wiped out.
That's a good point. That's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And there are exceptions, like Paris mentioned. There are exceptions to this rule. Not learning it now, but there are exceptions to Shemitah. Unfortunately, a mortgage is an exception, for example, because there's a due date afterwards.
We have a equation here. Collateral.
Equation of collateral.
Proposal.
Yeah.
Collateral also.
Collateral also the
Allows you to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it? What is it about a proposal? What are we doing with a proposal?
You're handing your debts to
But you're handing your debts to.
that is then.
Base bid.
Yeah.
So it's Keilu base bid has the collateral.
So to speak. Yeah.
They have the collateral. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand
The two. Yeah.
the alumnus between the two because
Right.
obviously they both have the same weight. They both have the same weight. They're
Right.
both equivalent.
Right.
Okay.
It's yeah. We were a lot of Shavuos is a lot of Masechtas are like that. Shavuos in particular, you get into a lot of different areas in Shavuos. We like to stick our pinky in the water and a little toe in the water and stick it out. You talk about like all these different cases. The concept of mashkon in general and all the different cases. But anyway, but Hadron alach Shavuos hadyayanim. Okay, now we start the next paragraph. But first, where are you up to? Mam Dalid. I want to say. Mem Dalid base. All right, there's a Tosus in Sukkah. Machlokas Tosus around in Sukkah. Went to Tosus on the daf. Went to Tosus on Sukkah. That says we said the concept of osek mitzvah pater min mitzvah. Another concept. We're just like sticking our toe in it. It's osek mitzvah pater min mitzvah. A person who is involved in mitzvah is precluded, is exempt from another mitzvah. So the way we would understand it is very much the way Tosus understands it, and that is that you're doing a mitzvah, so you can't do it. It's like a person who is, you can't. You have to call someone else in the job. I'm holding something. No, you can't do it. That's how Tosus basically is. The Ran is interesting. Even if it's Efer L'Kayim Shneim. What's the terminology? If you can be Kayim Shneim. You can do both. I don't know. I didn't learn the Ran inside if I quoted, but this needs a lot of work. It needs to be understood. Like Tosus, we understand. If you have Shir L'Kayim Shneim, you can't do two mitzvahs. You're doing one mitzvah, so you're absolved from the next one. You're taking care of the needs of a person who passed away. You're burying the dead person. You miss Zman Kriya Shema. You understand that. But if you're watching somebody's whatever for them, or you're doing a mitzvah of whatever it may be that doesn't require much effort, you can do it at the same time. You're on the phone donating to a tzedakah, and another guy comes to the door asking you for a shekel. Probably reach in your pocket and do another one. According to that, the Ran says no. Seemingly, you're not. You do not look up halacha, but that's what they say.
You don't want to miss the other mix.
Yeah, you don't.
So
Yeah.
I can't have going back to the proposal idea because the idea of protocol when it was explained, the idea of collateral never came into the explanation. It was a closed goal in a sense, really, and it's really the easiest way to understand the protocol. It's collateral.
You can understand that, yeah. It's not in personal property anymore. And
Sorry?
I think the idea behind the vezin is it goes out of personal to it's not your anymore, so it's not something that canceled, but yeah.
Well, that's also collateral.
Yeah.
Collateral also is no longer, in a certain sense, no longer yours.
I don't remember the story behind why the collateral doesn't cancel. I hear your story. Why the two are similar. I don't remember learning. I remember learning it. I remember what I remember. Human condition called forgetting. with all its pluses and minuses. Yeah.
There's a big difference between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva, because if you're an unpaid shomer,
Right.
and I give you my cup, you give me 100 shekels, for example, you lose or break my cup as an unpaid shomer, you take a shvua that it's lost, broken, or whatever, but I still have to give you my 100 shekels back, don't I?
Well,
So-
a broken, yeah, broken would be
Yeah.
yeah.
So the borrower loses twice. He loses his collateral, and he has to give the 100 shekels back. So he's lost twice, per se. Whereas Rabbi Akiva is a paid shomer, has to pay for the. So if it's equal, then that's
Not right, right.
And that's basically the difference.
Right. Yeah, we can work on it. You think of it today. Work on it. Come up with an idea why you. I don't know. It's hard to understand.
Right. There's no achbiyut. There's no achbiyut for the Malvin when he has that collateral.
It sounds strange.
It's a little. It's hard to accept.
Yes, it's hard to accept. Yes, I agree. Yeah.
If the owner
Above
of the
Mitzvah for
building,
this.
if he doesn't have a football, he loses out on the whole affair of what the building is owned.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better. Yeah. Yeah.
Therefore, he comes to a football and says, "This is a reminder that you cannot get off the whole affair.
Right.
Finish me to you."
Right. That's right.
It's more than a reminder.
No.
It helps in reminding to you to leave your Brisbane. Make sure to leave your Brisbane.
It's like another.
Yeah.
The base didn't hold the principal, and they get the money for you from the borrower.
If he doesn't want to hit it.
Yeah.
That's their law now. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the Mishnah here. Okay, now this parak, the seventh parak, second to last parak in Shavuos is called Nishbayin. It discusses Shavuos D'Rabbanan. There's an interesting Shavuos D'Rabbanan. We learned one Shavuos D'Rabbanan already. That's Shavuos Hesis. That was a later takana in the times of Nachman, maybe Nachman himself. These are we're going to see 5 right here in the Mishnah. It's a very long Mishnah, like other prakim, not all prakim, but like many prakim, some prakim. In Shavuos, all the Mishnah is up front, the start of the parak, and the rest is just Gemara. The next parak is also going to be like that. It's a short parak, so that's where you go. So here we go. Kol nishban shebetorah. All the shvuos that one takes from the Torah, nishban v'lo mishalmin. Rashi says, Kol hamechuyav and shvua min Torah. Anyone who is required to take a shvua from the Torah, the nature of that shvua is you swear and you don't pay. That's the way the shvua works. For example, let's go through the shvuas. You have a shvua modem mixus. Person says you owe 100, he says you owe 50. So he pays him the 50 he agrees to. He takes an oath if he wants to, and is absolved from the remaining 50. It's nishba v'niftar. Okay, he swears and he's absolved. Or you have one aid comes to you come to court. The guy says you owe me 100. He says no, make that loan, and he brings one witness. So if one witness can't make you pay, but he can make you swear. You have to swear that you don't owe the money. You swear nishba v'niftar, then you swear and then you're off. Or example, a shomer, like a shomer chidam. Somebody you're holding on to somebody for something for somebody. Not a loan, it's a regular case, let's just say, make it easy. And it gets lost. And Shomer Chinas is not liable for a Veda or a Gneva or something stolen. And he did all, in all good faith, he washed it properly. He swears and then he does not have to pay. That's the nature of Shavuos D'Oraisa. Shavuos from the Torah, oaths from the Torah, you swear to not pay. That's the nature of them. Now we're going to say the other thing. The Elu, second line, the Elu Nishbam and Notlin. These are the ones you swear and you take, and you get paid. As the third Rashi said, "Shetiknu lehem chachamim lishbav lital." These rest that we're going to say, these oaths, we have 5 cases in the Mishnah, are cases where you swear and then you take, as opposed to the Eraisa, where you swear and then you don't pay. So here they are. We're going to have 5, say them briefly, and then each is going to get explained in the Mishnah, and I'm going to explain further in the Gemara. Okay. Velo nishbam and notlin. These swear, they're abanan. and from the rabbis, and they take and they collect. A schir, a worker, like a day worker, who's owed money. We'll explain all these in the Mishnah. Van nigzal, and someone who has stuff stolen from him, like somebody takes a collateral, we'll see, from him without permission. Van nichbal, and somebody who is so injured by someone else. And somebody who is the other person is supposed to swear to him, but that other party can't swear. So the person who's claiming swears. Just a brief example. Let's say he says, "You owe me money." Here's one witness. He says, "I don't owe you money." So he says, "Swear to me." But the guy is he's a con artist. He's a pigeon racer, whatever he is, and he has a track record. We'll see of swearing falsely. So he can't swear. So the person claiming swears. The person claiming he's owed money swears, and then he takes. Takes the money. Right. So we'll take one more example in the Mishnah. One more case. The Chanvani al Pinkaso, and the storekeeper on his ledger, on his money sheet, he keeps his Pinkaso. So we'll explain what that means. What's the case? Where does he swear and collect his what do they have? Let's stay booking the books. Well, we're going to talk about that. First case, we say can't cook the books too badly. That's right. You just straight up cook the books is a problem. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Fourth line in the Mishnah. Haschir. What's the case of like a worker, like a day worker who did work for you in the day? Ketzad. What's the case? Amar lo tein schar sheyesh li biyadcha. Give me the money that you're holding on to that you owe me. Who Omer, the owner, the person who we worked for, he says, Nasati. I gave it to you. Valo Omer lo natati. He said, I did not take it. Who nishbal v'notel. He swears and he takes the fee that he's owed. Let's say he's owed 100 shekel for his day of work. He swears and he gets to collect it. We're gonna put in some caveats when it works. When it doesn't work later, probably later. I think it's 2 days from today. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says a little bit more advanced than that. Ad shetehesham miktzas haudah. It has to be a case where there's a partial admittance, not just let's say the guy who's the hirer, I don't know what you want to call him, the guy who owns the place, says he denies the whole thing. The worker says I didn't get anything. It has to be different. Rabbi Yehuda Ketzad was the case. Amar lo tein li schari 50 dinar sheyesh li biyadcha. Give me my pay of 50 dinar that you owe me. Who Omar? And the owner, the person who we worked for, says, "It kabalta dinar zav. You already received 25." In that specific case, where there's partial admittance, that's where the worker, according to Rabbi Yehuda, can collect. According to the Tanna Kama, even if it's a full denial, the owner, let's say the owner, let's call him that, says I paid you, and the worker says you didn't. 100-0, then you collect. Yehuda has to say it has to be a partial admittance. Okay, we'll discuss further in the Gemara. Next case, Nigzal. What's the case of Nig? Well, yeah, no, one second. Let me say finish up the case of the skier. Amotzi mechaber al araya. Right. I'll jump the gun a little bit. The Gemara says it's only in a case where he hired him with witnesses. He didn't hire him with witnesses. Then he could say Amotzi mechaber al araya. And say just like I could tell you I never hired you in the first place, like amigo, I can tell you that I paid you already. It's a big chiddush. It's his word against his. We normally say Amotzi mechaber al araya. Zal we're misaking it that in such a case he can still collect. It has to be certain circumstances. Circumstances. We'll get to tomorrow on the bottom. That's a shame.
The Baal of Hov can say, listen, let's use the amigo. I could have told you that I owe nothing. And I'd be off the hook.
I never hired you. Never hired you.
Yeah. But believe me that I get paid in 25 because of that amigo.
According to Yehuda, it's 25. That's Yehuda's. The amigo is that we'll see in the Gemara. He could say if there were no witnesses. That's why it has to be witnesses. He could say, I could tell you I never hired you in the first place. So, and then I'd be completely absolved. So now that I'm saying I paid you already, you should believe me. But what do we say? We say no. We say that he's hired him with witnesses. He can't make that claim. And he says he paid him. He says he didn't get the pay. And the reason is because the worker, the owner is busy. He's tarot. Let's see, he's involved. So in order to make sure that, and the worker remembers, the owner doesn't necessarily remember. He has a lot of things going on. We'll see. Sometimes he does remember. Sometimes he doesn't. We'll discuss in the word. It's going to get complicated. We're just layers. First, one word. We said the case. We started to explain it. Explain some more.
There's
Okay.
an argument on both sides. If the worker says he has been paid, then he has to take a Shavuos that he has not been paid. But the worker said, the employer says, I have paid you. So he doesn't have to take a Shavuos.
No, just the worker. In this case, just the worker has to take a shua. And we'll see why he takes a shua. Yeah. Not only he takes the
Because it could be 50-50, it could be either.
right,
If
exactly.
there's no witnesses, it's one word against the other word. So therefore, both should take a Shavuos.
Right. We'll see in the Gemara. The only witnesses are is that the witnesses were hired. That we know is there. We'll see. You're right. At this point, it's not clear. You're right. It's not clear. Like what? Yeah, it isn't clear. Right. Okay. So let's go to the next case. Before we go to the next case, we see that the Ran, the Rashba. I mean, I mentioned this many times, but the Ran and the Rashba say there's an equation here. They equate. Right word. Equating. Maybe that's the right word. They equate the Shavuos from the Torah to Shavuos Rabbanan. The Ran and the Rashba say that shows that they're similar. In what way? There's a discussion whether you have to do a schefetz. You have to hold on to something when you make the shua. By the Araisa, we said Torah, Ellen, you have to hold something when you make the shua. The Rabbanan, the Ra and the Rash say also, you make a shua the Rabbanan. We see that they're comparing the two. You would also. Okay, so let's continue. Nigzal. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th line into the Mishnah. Third word in, Nigzal. Let me just re-highlight this. Try not to highlight it properly. Okay. Okay, Nigzal. What's the case of Nigzal? Sounds like someone has something stolen from him, which is essentially the case. Ketza, what's the case? Hayumi Eden also. We're going to explain this further. It needs clarification exactly what the case is, what the witness see, what they didn't see. But they saw him that he went into the person who's owed. The lender went into the borrower's house without permission. To collect the collateral without his permission. Shalom brishus, without getting permission. Hu omer kelai natal. Hu omer lo natal. So the borrower says, you took my keli, my object, my whatever, my kli. And the lender says, no, I didn't. Hu nishba v'notel. The borrower swears that it was taken, and he gets it, and he gets paid. We'll discuss this further. It needs clarification. It needs work. We'll see there whether it's saw something under his jacket or whatever else. It needs detail. Okay. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer again. He says the same thing. Ad shetehesham miktsas hoda. Has to be a partial admittance. What's the partial admittance here? What does that mean? Ketzad. Omer lo shnei kelim natalta. The borrower says, you came into my house and took out two kelim, took out two food processors, 2 chairs, whatever. He said, no, I only took 1 chair. That's the case, according to Yehuda. In that case, that's the case when the borrower swears and gets his item back. Okay. Nechbal. All these cases, a little bit more detail. We'll get to it as we go along. Nechbal, a person gets a chavala, is punched or injured or whatever. Ketza, what's the case? They saw that he went into other person's rishus, in his property. I'll explain the case. When he was uninjured, they saw him come out injured. I don't know exactly how. Maybe he fell. Maybe he was the guy had a little bit of words with the guy and punched him or something. Whatever. Right. And you're well, rishus is a puppet, yeah. Right.
Element of negligence.
Right.
Go downstairs, come out,
It's a scenario.
pay
Yeah.
money.
Okay, so nech bal ketza. What's the case? Hayum idno so shenichnas tachas yado shalem. Yatsa chaval. He comes out injured. V'amar lo chavalta bi. He says, you injured me. V'amar lo chavalta. He says, I did not injure you. Hareza nishba v'nital. He swears and gets the damages that's due to him. Uh, right. Is that relevant? That's previous Rashi, but I guess. Okay. Let's just say the last Rashi gives a little bit more clarity on the previous case with the case of the he goes into collect collateral. It says Shadvarim mochichim. Why does he swear and take? Shadvarim mochichim. It seems the circumstances seem to indicate. The witnesses testify that he went and collected. He went in there to go presumably collect without permission. That's just a little bit more of a picture. Okay. Did I do that last line? I'm sorry. Let's do it again. Rabbi Huda. So he swears and he collects this. Rabbi Huda Omer, Ajate Sham Miktsas Hoda. Now it has to be partial admittance. What's the case? Partial admittance. Ketzad Omer lo chavalti b'shtayim. You gave me 2 injuries. Allah Omer lo chavalti b'chal achas. You only gave me 1. In that case, says Rabbi Huda, partial admittance, then he would swear and get collect. So the first 3 cases, I may have lost track of here. Now, in these cases we mentioned, there's always Rabbi Huda says partial. The next case is not going to have. That was the first 3, right? And the next one we're going to talk about does not have a partial aspect to it, as you'll see. Shekenegdo choshod ala shvua. Someone who is suspected of being going to swear falsely, so we don't let him swear. What's the case? Sorry, I'm just going to take a refill. Okay, all right. That's back. Okay. The other party suspected to not swear correctly, swear honestly, and therefore the other party has to swear. Let's switch to the next daf, Mem Hey Amud Aleph 45a. Briefly, we'll start it. What are these cases? So these are cases when let's say the person says you owe me money, and he says, here's one witness, and the guy says, no, you don't owe me. I don't owe you money. So normally the person who's the claims against, who's denying it, would swear and get off. But in this case, he can't swear because he's suspect to not swear. The history of type of person that can't swear. He's suspected to swear falsely. So the claimer, person's claiming, swears, and he's claiming, then he takes the money. So he claims. What are the cases of people who can't swear? Achas shvuas ha'edus. Whether the case is that in the past, the person said, swear to me that you have testimony, or he swears that he does not have testimony. He says, shvuas she'eni edus, and then it turns out he does. He swore falsely. Not that he accidentally, but yes. Whether he takes an oath, I'm not holding on to your collateral. And then, lo and behold, there it is. He swore falsely. Vafilu shvuas shav. Even if he just took a oath for naught, like a false oath or not, that's something that can't be. That all those cases, like Rashi says, the first Rashi, ben shenechshad al shuas ha'edus, ben shenechshad shuas b'kodan, shekafar v'nishbal ha'sheker. Swear falsely. Afilu shvuas shav. What's the insight? What's the chiddush there? Shura l'shamayim aleha lo lebrios. He swore falsely, but it didn't impact anybody. Just took a false oath. It didn't, deny that he has testimony. It doesn't deny he's holding on to something for you. Even then, that renders you a false witness, even though you're not a mazik lebrios. Shura l'shamayim aleha below the brios. Afapikin hu nefsal ayad al still possible from giving a shua. What other cases? Echad mehem are misachik bekubya, someone who is a gambler, umalva beribis. That's his profession. Umalva beribis, someone who lends with interest. different interpretation of what that means. Let's say a pigeon racer, someone who sells items in shvius. These are all topics that in the Gemara get further explanation and need further explanation. We're to say that these are examples of people who cannot take Shavuos because they're possible from Shavuos. They're not. Shekenegdo nishba v'notel. The other party would swear and then take the money, as we said. We said the case was a person who, a classical case, person's owed money. He says he owed me money. He has one witness. Normally, the party would swear and get off the hook, but here he swears and he would swear and maybe that's not a good example, but a person. Let's say a person where one party has to swear, and the other party he can't, so the other party swears, then he collects the money. That's the case. Okay, let's just do the next one. We'll just continue. If both parties are suspect, yeah, two rogues, yeah. Min matzas mina, it's to say anything, but if both parties can't swear, the claimer and the claimee, whatever you want to call them, then it gets bounced back to the person who against him is the claim, and he can't swear, so he then has to pay. That's what Rabbi Yossi said. Meir Omer Yechloko. He can't swear, he can't swear, so they divide, compromise. It's actually a chloko. We normally say it's not really relevant to this point I'm saying, but there's a concept in Baba Kama, I believe it is, that's where I remember it from. That we say, right? You claiming for somebody, you have to bring the proof. Good. But Chizkiah, I believe it is. It's Chizkiah. It's Chizkiah. I think it's Chizkiah who says that that if when there's a market like that, they divide it. I remember the exact case. Again, was it Sumchus? Is it Sumchus? It could be Sumchus. It's a Sumchus. Sumchus says it could be Sumchus. So you're right. Yeah, Sumchus. I have to remember. Yeah. Okay, maybe Sumchus. Maybe Sumchus. Maybe Sumchus. You're right. Sumchus is the rogue shita. Yeah. I call it the Chas Shalom. It's a shita. Sumchus. It's right after the Mishnah, but really right after. Okay. Anyway, right, so that's it. So we are nearing the end. As I mentioned, we're going to start, as Hashem, we're going to do Ksubos. We're going to have to plan some sort of siyum of some sort. I mentioned Sunday, I will not be here, and a good chance maybe Thursday may not be either this week. I'm not going to be here Sunday. Thursday, I may not be here. Also, I'm going to be going away. I'll keep you updated as I know. Something, yeah. Shabbos Sheni Shagolius. That's what we used to call it in America. Shabbos Sheni Shagolius. Yeah. Which explains even why it's Chutnisim have trouble getting up in the morning on Sunday. Anyway. Everyone have a great day, a good week. Thank you, Zun.